I'm studying a Master's of Business Psychology, and at the moment I'm doing a unit called Neuroscience and Behaviour, and part of that is running a sleep study on myself. You pick an intervention and commit to it for 7 days straight, tracking your sleep, your mood, your stress, the lot. I chose ambient sound therapy, 10 minutes of rain sounds before bed, which felt faintly ridiculous at first, a grown woman listening to a downpour that isn't actually happening. Here's the thing though. I would have told you that it didn't make a difference. It didn't feel like much night to night. It was only when I sat down to analyse the 7 days of data that I saw it. I was falling asleep in under 10 minutes, averaging 7.5 hours a night, even with two 4:30 a.m. wake-ups to get to the airport that cut those nights short. The boring little ritual was working. I just couldn't feel it from the inside. I had to have it pointed out to me through my own analysis before I believed it. And that's exactly the trap that leaders fall into with culture. We think culture is the big stuff, the value statement, the offsite, the grand gesture. But culture is the small, repeatable behaviours that we're mostly running on autopilot. And we are genuinely terrible at seeing our own. You can't shape a behaviour if you can't observe it in yourself. You need it reflected back. And that reflecting back is what the people around us do. It's what recognition is at its best. Not a pat on the back at the end, but someone noticing the small thing in the moment, naming the behaviour, naming the impact that it had. We're wired to repeat what gets seen. So recognize the journey, reward the outcome, and notice the little things, because those are the things quietly running the show. Welcome to A-Listed.
Carol Chapple, welcome to A-Listed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. On this show, we explore the stories and the science of appreciation at work, but I'm a sucker for a good job title, and your job title is the VP of Talent Effectiveness. So what the heck do you do?
Well, I feel like I have the best job in HR,
Okay.
Right? It's actually the most rewarding from my perspective because we do all of the learning and development. We also coach and mentor people. We work on succession planning and pretty much are the center of excellence for like performance management as well. But we are the culture ambassadors for the firm. And I think that's the most rewarding, is really helping people integrate effectively within our culture and connect with other people within our culture, whether it's through a Ryan buddy or whether it's me kind of giving them the skinny on how things work. That's just kind of part of what we do in our role. So it's really about making sure every individual feels like they have a community at Ryan. They can make an impact in the work that they do. They can grow and develop and build their skills within our organization. So it's actually really fun.
As you reflect on this current moment, it feels to me at least like we're living through an unprecedented period of change. It feels faster paced. It feels more pervasive. How effective do you think talent is in mitigating this period of change right now?
I'd say it's hard. I think it's more difficult for people who maybe don't have like a long-term perspective. Where they're really focused on today. So if you think about teenagers, right? If something bad happens, it's the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
People who are, I think, a little bit more senior in their role, have seen a lot of changes, that have those kind of experiences, they probably tend to be a little bit more resilient. But I also think personality says a lot, right? In terms of who might have more of a glasses full versus glasses half empty approach. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm studying a Master's in Business Psychology at the moment, and I'm doing a subject around neuroscience of behaviour.
Yeah.
And I've just written an assignment on the impact of AI and uncertainty on the brain. And you mentioned there that people can't see the future. And that's one of the underlying issues that we have at the moment is I don't know what my role is going to look like tomorrow. I don't know what my job is going to look like tomorrow. I don't know if my job is going to exist. And so that inability to actually visualize what my role looks like in the future is one of the things that is holding people back. How do we counteract that? Like, when we probably don't know the answers ourselves.
Yeah.
But how do we help people envision what a future at your organization could look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think uncertainty has always been around. I mean, I remember when I was younger and you had people wanting to get under their desks because a nuclear war might happen, right? So there was those levels of uncertainty, I think, have always kind of been cyclical. It is pretty uncertain now. Political environment's not great in the United States or in the Middle East, right? There's lots of kind of negativity. I think we've reverted back in some instances to 30 years, so there's that challenge, which is really tough. But I think if you have that hopefulness and you really focus on what you can control, which is what we do teach in our culture workshops, that's another element, really figuring what you can impact today, what you can do today that makes your life better, and not worry. I don't know who said it, but somebody once said that people worry about 99% of the problems that never happen. And I'm sure I misquoted that. But that's really my philosophy, right? Try to change your mindset, block things out, and just do what you can control. Don't spin on what you can't control, because that's really the most, I think, detrimental. I mean, you create, brain science, right? You create, your amygdala fires up, you get into panic mode, and you're worrying about something, creating a lot of cortisol in your body for what? Something that might never happen.
That's it. We're filling any unknown with actually negative sentiment.
Yeah.
And I think doing what we do in the recognition space is a way to fill some of that gap with the positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think what you can control is how you can build your skill sets to take on the challenge. AI is not that hard to learn. It really isn't. And it can have an incredible impact on your productivity. So I think it's, maybe for my children at least, I would have wanted them to always go to college. Well, my son now wants to be, he wants to do welding, right? Doesn't want to go to college. And okay, well, AI can't replace welding. I think that might be a good, degree or a good certification to get. And it's really shifting your mindset from what you think should happen, what you believe that vision to be, and being open to the possibility of it being very different. So that's the story I tell myself.
How do you think about the work that you do in helping people navigate this current moment? It does seem to me that learning, engagement, performance, these are all touchstones. And I'm also curious about, is everyone in the organization participating in your culture workshops?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
That's an incredible gift you're giving people.
Yeah. So we have over 7,000 employees or team members. And every year, like I said, we travel. Sometimes we'll go to 40 different locations, or we'll do this virtually. We're actually doing one this week in Mississauga, right down the street. Yeah, we're doing, I think, 3 or 4 sessions.
Oh, wow.
So it's fun. As this team, we get to travel and see different places and get to be and connect with other people. So I think in person is so much better for these workshops because you have everybody together. We're really kind of communicating that same message of who we are at Ryan, to really shape our culture. And the fact that they Ryan invests that type of money and resource into alignment around change, especially this year, alignment around our AI strategy. Those are all things that I think create that community of people wanting to innovate and build their skill set. So it does bring a positive. I think people love our culture workshops. It's not boring. It's usually fun. And it's a time to create that connection, similar to what we do with our recognition program as well. That's another great way to build connection.
Yeah. What parts of leadership development do you think should stay deeply human when AI is overtaking so much of our lives?
As long as people can be genuine in how they use AI. So I'll give an example with a recognition. Mm-hmm. I just saw the new feature you guys have with the AI. As long as I don't say, hey, please put a generic recognition in there, and I'm actually saying, I want you to speak on these 3 things this person did, that creates that, even though I might use AI to actually help me craft a better message, the meaning behind the message is still mine. So I do think leadership, it's critical to use it for like the tedious things, but when it comes, and hopefully to give you more time to have those connections with different leaders in the organization or team members, right? Spend the time on the right things, which is, I think, the human connection. But I'm a psychologist at heart,
yeah.
So that's my preference.
What role has appreciation played at Ryan in the culture that you've been helping cultivate over the last 8 years?
We have our values embedded in our system, and one of our values is generosity matters. And recognition, we've used the tool, I believe it's 8 to 10 years. It's been quite a while that we've stayed with achievers and really leveraged the system. One of the things that's a little bit unique about how we manage that product is every team member has a voice and can actually give a monetary reward. So because of that, I think that I'm not sure what your statistics show, but I would say bringing it down to the team member level where they can, they're going to do a recognition just because they know they have points to give. And so it's just become like very second nature for us. And even in other countries like India, it's super utilized. People love the GIFs and or the GIFs, how do you say it? And now with the AI, I think the ability to write a more meaningful recognition is a lot easier. Instead of me just saying, hey, thanks, great job, you're awesome, I can be more specific about what I want to say, and that will help reinforce the behaviors that we want to create the culture that we want.
Yeah, one of the barriers that we often hear about with recognition is I don't know what to say, or I might feel shy or uncomfortable about writing a recognition. And so if you can have the reason, you know what they did, what the impact was, and then use AI to actually craft that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see much more recognition coming from people who are perhaps too shy or uncertain in giving it in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, it's super easy. It's a lot easier now.
You talked about behaviors and aligning people to behaviors. How are you helping your leaders help their people align to those behaviors?
Yeah, I would say, our CEO does something that's pretty unique. He does something called TEAMtalk every month. And in that, he'll do kind of the state of the firm, like how we're doing from a revenue perspective, how we're doing from our Great Place to Work kind of awards that we have, as well as our client recognition that we get. But he will spend only 20 minutes on prepared remarks, and then the rest is opened up to just whatever people want to ask, and it's anonymous. So it's quite interesting and sometimes entertaining.
Yeah, I'm sure.
To see our CEO be able to really speak from the heart and be genuine in listening to the voice and the feedback from our team members. He's a positive role model for feedback and being completely open to hearing things that might be working, things that might not be working, and helping kind of the leadership team as a whole commit to actions that will help us shift to the better. I think those are the types of things that him setting that standard is helpful to trickle it down. Now, other things that we do for leaders, is just typical leadership programs, training. But I also think that the recognition system is useful for when we look at our team member awards or our leadership awards, right? So we do go through our database of recognitions and see, okay, who are the people that are getting great recognitions about who they are as a leader or even a team member that's very innovative. So being able to kind of look at data and pull out those great examples and highlight them in our firm awards, I think is one way to really make sure that the right values and the right behaviors are embedded within our culture.
I think it's so critical that your CEO is modeling that behavior. One of the more sobering statistics there too, from our recent research, is that less than half of organizations are asking employees, even annually, about how do we do things here. And less than 18% it is 18% of employees have any confidence that if they're asked, for their feedback that the organization
Yikes.
will do anything.
Yeah.
And so you're not just creating space for surfacing the challenges and the opportunities, but it sounds like you're acting on them too.
Yeah. And I mean, if we don't act on them, we get the question again next month.
That's funny.
So
That's
there's
funny.
accountability to
That's
that,
right.
Which is nice, but it also holds all the leaders on the leadership team accountable. Because, and what's interesting is the people group gets the most questions, right? Like, tell me about this benefit. Can I have pet insurance? All kinds of asks. It's not that we're going to, give everyone everything
Right.
they want, but we definitely listen and evolve from it. And there's been a lot of changes. One of the biggest change that happened, and probably was the biggest shift for us to actually become a great place to work over time, was we had a team member who was going to be a mom. And she's like, I can't work here. I can't work the hours and be a mom at the same time. And she was able to convince the CEO to put in place something called myRyan, which is our work remotely, work from home, work, you just get your work done. And if you need to work, you have to go take your kid to the doctor midday, that's fine. And so myRyan has become really central to our culture. And that's something that was implemented probably right before this program was implemented.
Right?
Yeah, so Achievers was just kind of another element that we added to that. And I think this past year we were 44 or something on Fortune's Great Place to Work. So
that's incredible.
It is, I think once our CEO Brent saw that success, he was like, all right, I've got to focus on my people, not just revenue, and, really kind of ensuring that our culture stays intact, because we definitely have acquisitions. We're constantly acquiring and growing. So, making sure that your culture stays intact is really important.
Yeah, in times of transformation like that, how do you make sure that culture is a priority, that when you're merging businesses together, that culture is seen as important?
I mean, it's interesting because we absolutely say it in our team talk. We talk about our culture and it's important, and our team members, we don't want, when we acquire a company, for everything to get worse for our team members. So there's even been situations where, one organization that we merged with had better benefits, and we were able to kind of match that for the rest of the organization. So that's something that's really pretty stellar is our benefits that we have. But yeah, it's in the culture workshops help. The talent effectiveness team will, come out. We do one-on-one mentoring for any senior leader that's part of an acquisition or a new hire, to just really kind of help acclimate them to our culture, because it is a little different. It's a founder-owned company. The other thing about Ryan that's pretty interesting is we have a word called inclusive, or phrase, inclusive meritocracy.
Okay.
Have you heard that before?
No, but say more.
Okay, so that means pretty much anyone that is creative, innovative, has a great idea, can really build a case and take it to fruition and get rewarded for it.
Love that.
So it is, and it doesn't matter your age, your gender, if you bring something amazing to the business and it comes to fruition, you will be rewarded. So even our compensation models are somewhat aligned around that. And a perfect example is someone very young. I think they were an intern 1 or 2 years ago, came in, built a AI-driven software platform that saved 90% productivity on a variety of products.
Wow.
And brought in lots of millions of dollars. And that person's getting rewarded, so with really kind of leading a lot of our technical teams. So that's just an example of how you can see opportunity here where it's not as common in other firms, I think.
You have a good job.
Yeah,
I have
very
a fun
cool
job.
You really do.
Yeah.
Well, I often think that, an organization's responsibility is to create conditions so employees can do the best work of their lives.
Yeah.
And one of those conditions is, I think, that someone feels confident that they can get a great idea heard by the right person in the organization. And you've had a couple examples already today of just that.
Yeah, one of the other things, I think this is probably one of my ideas I brought into the firm, and it has taken off, was our leadership acceleration program.
Okay.
And so as part of that, we get about 30 people and we split them up into cohorts of, 6 people each. And they have to figure out like what's a business problem.
Oh, I love this.
And then solve it.
Yeah.
And then they come in for like a year. They work on, speaking to different people. Like, how do I get this done? What's the innovation? What's the cost? What's the benefit? And then they present it in a Shark Tank.
Oh, man. I love this.
But it is like a friendly Shark Tank. We say it's a friendly Shark Tank, but I would say it's a 4-hour meeting to have all of these people do these presentations, and our CEO's in the front seat along with all our senior leaders. And it's a very positive experience. I mean, I've never seen a really bad idea come through because we try to really push them to like improve it. But several of those ideas have actually come to fruition. The technical term for that type of program would be like an action learning program. So that's kind of what they call it. But yeah, it's been a good success within our business. So
very cool.
Yeah.
And how do you share the stories from those, whether it's from the Shark Tank's experience themselves or the ideas that come to fruition? Like, how does the regular employee hear about the great work that people are doing?
I think in TEAMtalk, in our recognition, and in our Achievers platform, for sure, people will recognize, and that's sometimes how these ideas bubble up. Frankly, is you can see like certain people who are like the innovators of AI. You can absolutely see that in the recognitions because people are afraid of AI right now. They don't, take the step. And if they could only like just spend a little bit of time and realize it's not that scary. But that's how they hear about it. We also do like newsletters and things like that to kind of get the word out.
I think what's interesting what you're doing with your leaders as well is that, if you look at how performance is distributed in a lot of organizations, the people who are in that, the A players, for lack of a better term, they get a lot of airtime, but there's often a missed opportunity to involve them and tap into their knowledge. So it sounds like you've really created a community of practice with those folks to tap into. Is there prestige attached to being among the 30 that are invited to that acceleration program?
There is prestige. I mean, you will see there will be some people that are rock stars coming out of there. And so I always make it a point to tell their leader, like, wow, this person really knocked it out of the park. We always have several of those each year. And then generally those folks will become like a principal the next year. So it is required if they want to move to that next level of being a principal to go through this process. So we do make an effort, at least our internal coaches like on our team, to highlight those individuals. And then many of them do promote to be a principal after that.
If you read the news, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, it's a little doomy and gloomy out there. You seem to be a predisposed person to be happy.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it has to do with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
What is it about the culture at Ryan that has you turning the frown upside down?
I think the team that I work with is great. They all help each other. One thing that we do is rotate them to own different programs. So they're constantly building, they're in learning and development, most of them. So they want to continue learning. So really giving them variety, I think, is important. So it's also, we hire a certain skill set, right? We hire people who tend to be more open-minded, who are open to change, open to challenges. So that's my bias. I will hire like for that. I like to hire more like an athlete versus somebody that's just got the skill set, right? I want somebody who can grow and adapt and learn. So what we love is just that connection with that team member, the one-on-one connection. So several of us are coaching certified. We'll spend time really kind of coaching team members when they're struggling. The type of work that we do with taxes can be very specialized. So many of these people that come to that leadership program tend to be like from one practice and only work with people within that department or that practice. So coming to a leadership workshop, They get lots of, friends that are friends for life, because it is a pretty stressful process to go through this. So they quickly learn that networking skill of being able to, call the person from the Middle East or call the person from Australia, and they become like very close and connected. So connections are critical, and I think that is what makes our jobs rewarding, is being connected. And then, your program, Achievers, I always tell people, we manage everybody's favorite program. We get to manage everybody's favorite program. And the one thing they always say at TEAMtalk is, can we get more dollars?
Every
to
time.
recognize. They're never happy with, the amount of dollars they get. But I do think it's a gift that they can, every single one of them can recognize other people. So, but it's social doesn't take off as much as the monetary.
That's very interesting.
Do you find that's different in different cultures?
We haven't seen a difference. If people run out of points, sometimes they don't want to send it because they're like, I don't want them to feel like they didn't get any points. And I'm like, the data shows if you give them a recognition, they're going to get like 3 times the boost. So it's similar to getting, and I don't think team members care. A recognition is a recognition.
Yeah, it's about what's said.
Yeah, I don't think they care about the dollar or the $5 that they get, right? Because it all adds up, but the recognition is what's critical. But it is interesting. I think from the sender's perspective, they view it differently. But if you were to ask them, well, what about you? If you got a recognition, would you be happy with just words? They'd say, of course.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like feedback, right? Nobody likes to give feedback, but they love to hear the feedback, right? It's easier to hear the feedback, and they want the feedback. So, yeah.
Do you have, thinking about your 8 years, is there a recognition moment where you were on the receiving end that you're particularly fond of, or even a redemption moment? We were talking earlier today about, what's neat about the marketplace is that it's an opportunity to reconnect to that meaningful moment that you received through the recognition. Is there anything that stands out for you?
I'm trying to think what I've purchased. So what I do, it's very consistent. If you look at my purchases, I always get gift cards, and it's during Mother's Day, Father's Day, and my parents' birthdays. It is the easiest gift to give my parents. They love the Outback or Darden gift cards.
Yeah.
I would say for me, the recognitions of my team members are more important to me. Just seeing that they get recognized by other people. I think that's more, touches my heart more than, a general recognition, I would say.
So 8 years with this program, since you've been at Ryan, what's some advice you give to other VPs of talent effectiveness on how to get it right?
The primary thing is to try to bring it down to where you are giving actual monetary award so that they can recognize other people, bringing it as low down in the organization as you can. I think you'll get much more traction with the program. Many of our other software programs don't get this level of participation. And I think it is due to the fact that, they kind of see this money sitting there that they need to utilize before it goes away, because we have it where it cleans itself once a month. Yeah, I think that's kind of the key thing. And then also giving special points for other things. So one of the things we just implemented last year was our principal in charge. So that's like the head office person. And we have over 50 offices. Each of them now have a budget that they can give for people that are culture ambassadors in their local sites. So it's not even, we base it off their head count, how many people and how many points they get. But, they were constantly asking for more points all the time. So we're like, let's just create a budget and then let them manage the budget. That budget rolls over year. We remind them to use it. But I think that's been helpful to really kind of encourage and reward people who have put in that extra effort to create connection in the local areas.
Well, thank you so much for coming to Toronto.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for properly pronouncing Mississauga. It's a hard one.
Don't ask me to spell it.
Well, yeah, I grew up in Mississauga. I call it Misery Saga.
Oh, no.
But that's just based on my experience. Thank you so much for being a guest on A-Listed.
I had a great time.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, we're ready.
Chop, chop.
There was a tone. I think we can all.
I think we got told.
If we did record that, you can tell there's a tone.
A verbal whip.
It was
correct.
recorded.
Yeah. It is interesting now that the producers, by the way, have created a microphone, or they haven't created it, but there's a microphone for them. I feel they're pushing into the show, and we are being pushed out of the show. Do you feel that way?
I'm actually okay with that. So
Okay.
I'd love to say Nick and Dave in these seats, and
Yeah.
we can sit back there.
tough guys.
And, yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
We're ready. Whenever
Let's see how you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick and Dave, what are your takeaways from Carol?
Yeah. What are your big takeaways from the show?
Just give us a moment to turn these cameras around.
Oh, really? Anything else we can get for you to make this more comfortable?
Some still water, if you wouldn't mind.
I'll take.
Still.
Yeah. Welcome back to A-Listed. A great conversation with Carol Chapple from Ryan. David, what was your biggest takeaway from the conversation with Carol?
She was a delight to talk with, so enthusiastic. I think the thing that that's top of mind for me is so often when we talk about culture, it's kind of fluffy. And when we use the examples of what culture is not, ping pong tables and pool tables and pizza lunches, it's because that's what a lot of the conversation is about the way work feels. And she talked about culture as a system of the way Ryan employees actually work. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And as part of that, one of the ways their culture works is for them, monetary recognition is a currency. Which you don't see in every organization. So it's demonstrated to me that she was really in tune with the system she's built over the last 8 years.
Yeah, and I think she has the coolest job title.
She does.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means.
VP of Talent Effectiveness.
Yeah, I don't know what it
We talk a lot about manager capability.
Yes.
And that shows up in so many of the conversations, whether it's recognition, reward, performance, talent management, all of that comes down to leadership capability. And they're very intentional around the annual cultural workshops that they're running.
Yes, yeah.
And I wonder if that's part of why their recognition program is so successful. That one is they're training their leaders, and it is part of how they do things, and involving every level of the organization through democratizing who can give and receive reward as well. Just makes it feel like it's for everybody.
That's right. And we talk a lot about the employee experience. One way of looking at the employee experience is that it's an organization's responsibility to create conditions so people can be engaged, and so much of that has to do with creating conditions for managers so they can be effective. And I think that's what they're calibrating every single day, and recognition is a big part of that.
Yeah, and I think that also helps to create the conditions that they have. She talked about a term called inclusive meritocracy.
This I loved.
Yeah, so the idea that innovation and ideas and new things are not coming top down, that every single employee in the organization actually has the ability to contribute new and innovative ideas to the organization. And that example of an intern who built an AI platform that saved 90% productivity
Incredible.
is so amazing. And I think about not just the experience for that employee who is recognized, rewarded, and probably on a really great career trajectory, but the message that sends to every other employee who works at Ryan is that this is actually available to me. If I've got an idea, I have a forum, a system, if you like, to have that idea heard by the right people, and then if it's the right idea, have it implemented. That to me sounds like a really exciting place to work.
I think so. It's probably one of the best examples of a bottom-up culture. Very rarely do the best ideas come from the boardroom. And I think people show up day after day after day, and they go through the hard parts if they believe that they can get a great idea heard by the right person in the organization.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I
Inspiring.
It was inspiring.
Yeah.
Are they hiring? Do you know?
I don't know. We should call them.
We should call Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, we love what we do, but
Obviously.
yes.
We'll go together.
Yeah. We're a team. I
We're a
love
duo.
that. That's right. You drive the bike and I'll be in the sidecar.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, this brings us to the end of another episode of A-Listed, where we discuss the stories and the science of appreciation at work. Thank you for joining us.
Well, we will have to take the seats if they're gone.
Let me in, coach.
That's right.